Last season, the Detroit Lions won the NFC North crown for the very first time. But for 2024, the rest of the division is not going quietly into the night. The Lions are going to have to continue to step up their game, and we're going to talk about it in today's episode, folks. So stay tuned.
What are we? What makes us what we are and what we're going to be? It's grit. It's what we started with last year, guys. Doesn't matter if you have one ass cheek and three toes. I will beat your ass.
Can definitely compete with the big dogs.
10-5 end zone touchdown Detroit Lions.
You guys are unbelievable, man. I'm telling you.
We are driven by Detroit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to yet another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. I'm your host, David T. Pike, and with that, folks, we're diving in. So, here's the thing, folks. When it comes to the NFC North division, I'm going to just say this right now. The NFC North is quickly becoming one of the most competitive divisions that is in the entirety of the NFL. Because when you honestly think about it, a lot of people like to talk about certain divisions as which divisions are the toughest, which divisions are the hardest, which divisions are the most competitive. And I'm going to be entirely honest with you. The NFC North is quickly becoming one of the most competitive. It's becoming one of the most toughest divisions in the entirety of the NFL because if you realistically think about it, one if not all of those teams that are in the NFC North has the ability to win. Now, obviously, right now things are a little bit of a flux of that in that nature because two of the teams that I'm talking about, they don't currently have quarterbacks. But I also know this, that's not going to stay that way for long. But when we're talking about the Lions, last season the Lions officially won the NFC North Division crown for the very first time in not only the Lions' history, but ever since the NFC North actually became a division back in 2002. And again, it was the first time the Lions had won a division crown since 1993. So again, for the Lions, the 2023 season was a pretty big year because it's like, hey, first time we won the NFC North crown, first time we'd won a division crown in 30 plus years. So it's like, okay, pretty big year. And obviously, because it was a big year, Lions fans, obviously we celebrated that accomplishment. We celebrated the fact that we had won it. We had the pride that went along with winning the division crown. But I'm going to say this. For all of the facts that we had won the division crown, for all the fact that we were feeling good about ourselves, the Lions' division rivals, they have not been sitting idly by. Rather, they have been making a literal bevy of moves to challenge the Lions, and they are definitely pushing hard to do so. And again, I'm going to state this, that regardless of whatever moves that the other division rivals, Packers, Vikings, Bears are doing, the Lions are the division champions, and those other teams and their fan bases, they can cry all they want into their pillows at night and say, oh, well, the Lions won one time, they're not going to win again, or it's going to be our turn next year, whatever. I'm just going to state this. It's our division. We won it. We won it fair and square. And as far as I am concerned, until further notice, the Lions are the best team in the NFC North. And without a doubt, the Lions not only have the best team, but they have the best quarterback and they have the best offense in the entirety of the NFC North. Now, I'm going to acknowledge this. While the rest of the NFC North is definitely doing their best to get that race for the 2024 division crown very interesting, I still believe that it's the Lions division to lose. Because if you think about it, the other division rivals, they have been doing a lot of moves to try and get themselves in a position to challenge the Lions for the upcoming season. And we're going to talk about each team really quickly as far as what they've been doing, which if you've been paying attention to the offseason, you've been paying attention to free agency, you should know pretty much what I'm talking about here. But again, I just find it rather interesting that this offseason, the NFC North division has seen a literal bevy of stuff going on in it, all because the other teams are like, oh crap, the Lions actually came to play. Now we got to step up our game. Because think about it. Let's take a look at the Bears. The Bears, they came out swinging in free agency, and they signed some big-name free agents, such as our old running back, DeAndre Swift. They gave him a pretty big contract, which I think they're going to regret that contract pretty quickly. They also went out and they signed Kevin Byard, and they signed him, and then they re-signed their cornerback, Jalen Johnson. And they then made a trade for Keenan Allen from the Chargers. So it's like the Bears went out and they made some pretty big moves. They made some pretty big splashes in free agency, whether it was signing players, re-signing players, or trading for players. And plus, on top of that, the Bears still hold the number 1 overall draft pick and the number 9 overall draft pick in the upcoming draft, which affords the Bears a great amount of flexibility and availability to do a lot of damage from the draft. And then when you think about the fact that the Bears just recently traded Justin Fields to the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're all but certain gunning for a franchise quarterback. Now, what we don't know is whether or not the Bears are going to say screw it and go with Caleb Williams, because Caleb Williams is widely regarded as the best prospect in the draft, or if they're going to go with some other quarterback potentially like Drake May or something. I personally think this: if they go after Caleb Williams, it's going to be a mistake personally, because it's like, listen, Williams has already expressed he does not want to play for the Bears. And on top of that, I think that Williams' persona, his attitude, and all the stuff that he's done prior to the draft and all the rumors that have come out about him prior to the draft already kind of spell that he is not a guy that I would want to invest long-term in for a franchise quarterback. That's just my personal opinion, because it's like, okay, you go to the scouting combine, you refuse to take medicals, you're then being reported that your father is telling teams that he wants your son, he's wanting you to have an ownership stake in the team, and it's like, okay, dude, you're a rookie, you haven't even taken a snap in the NFL, and you are already coming off like you think you're the next best thing, and it's like, no, that's not how this works. But that's just my personal opinion. Moving off the Bears, you then have the Vikings. And the Vikings, again, they also made a flurry of moves. And those moves, again, garnered a lot of attention because the Vikings, they went out and they signed the Packers' former running back Aaron Jones. And then they went out and they signed linebacker Jonathan Grenard. But I will say this. The signings, while those were big, the biggest news for the Vikings is that they made a trade to acquire a second first-round draft pick from the Houston Texans. They now have 2 first-round draft picks just like the Bears. Now, granted, it's not number 1 and number 9, but they picked up number 23 from the Houston Texans in a trade. So it's like, okay, you have the Bears who have 2 first-round draft picks. You have the Vikings who have 2 first-round draft picks. And again, with 2 first-round draft picks, the Vikings don't have a franchise quarterback because they lost for Kirk Cousins to the Falcons in free agency. So, in theory, if the Vikings wanted to, they could package those 2 picks to move up and get that quarterback. I personally don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to draft whatever the best quarterback is on the board that fits them, and then they're going to use that other first-round draft pick to get another talent to go with the team. That's my personal thought. That's my personal opinion. But again, I'm not a Vikings fan, so I really don't give a damn. Then we have the Packers. Now, the Packers also made some moves as well. They had 2 free agent acquisitions that were pretty big. They went out and signed Josh Jacobs from the Raiders, gave him a pretty big contract, and then they also signed safety Xavier McKinney. And the Packers are pretty much the biggest. How do I put this? They're the biggest competition based off of what happened last year because they finished second in the division. They made it to the playoffs. They actually won a playoff game against the Cowboys in Jerry World. I'm still pretty happy about that. But the point of the matter is that out of all the other teams in the division, they're the only one that currently has a quarterback on the roster that has proven that he can win, and that's Jordan Love. Now, I'm going to say this. Are the Packers better than the Lions? Hell no. They are a good team, but they're not better than the Lions. And even though the Packers have gone out and made some interesting, I would say, free agent additions, and some of them are pretty good, that's not going to put them in a spot to be better than the Lions. Not a chance in hell. The Bears and the Vikings are definitely more intriguing because it's like, okay, you've got 2 first-round draft picks, you don't have a franchise quarterback at the moment, so what are you going to do? But as far as I am concerned, all 3 of these teams are definitely making moves. They are definitely gunning for the North Crown because they want to take it back from the Lions. Now, this is where we talk about the Lions really quickly. This is kind of like my ability to kind of catch up on stuff that I really didn't talk about last week. Because the Lions have definitely made a lot of moves. I already talked about the fact that the Lions traded for Carlton Davis from the Buccaneers, a move that I've definitely warmed up a lot more to since I saw the initial news. Then we heard about the Lions signing DJ Reader, a move that I definitely welcome because DJ Reader's been considered one of the best defensive tackles in the NFL over the last couple of years. But then the Lions went out and they signed Jonah Jackson's replacement, and I hope I pronounced this man's name correctly, but Kevin Zeitler, they signed that guard. He's one of the best guards in the entire NFL, and he is a definite upgrade over Jackson, because Jackson was considered, unreliable because he constantly was getting injured, but this guy is a much better pass blocking guard, but at the same time still a good run blocking guard, what Jackson was known for. So it's like, okay, Brad Holmes is going out, and he's making all these moves, and it's like, hey, some of them aren't necessarily the flashiest moves, but they all have importance, and they're all pretty big for what the Lions are trying to do. So it's like, okay, you get a prominent run stuffer. You get a great defensive tackle in Reeder. You go out and you get a good cornerback in Davis, and then you go out and get one of the best guards in Zeitler. Again, I'm hoping I pronounced that correct one way or the other. And so it's like, okay, the Lions have gone out and they've made their own moves to maintain their top billing, and not only maintain their billing, but to make sure they can potentially take that next step to make a Super Bowl run. So for me, it's like, okay, the Lions have definitely made their own moves so that way that they're not falling behind or just staying pat. They are trying their best to also advance and get themselves in a better position. And again, the fact that the Lions actually have a quarterback that's been to a Super Bowl, been to 2 conference championship games. They have a team that overall is completely built almost from top to bottom, where other teams in the division are still missing some rather big pieces, regardless of the fact that they picked up some talented pieces this offseason. It's like, okay, in my honest opinion, the NFC North has become one of the most competitive divisions in the NFL. But I still believe the Lions are the best team because they have not only a solid overall team, and they have a solid hold on the division for at least another year. But I do know this. You can't just rest on your laurels, which is why I think what Brad Holmes has done so far for the majority of it, I've agreed with, and I think that it has helped the Lions to maintain their spot as the top team in the NFC North, and they should win the North for a second year running. But I also know this. The Lions have got some stiff competition from their division rivals because they are definitely trying to come and get us. They are definitely trying to put us back down in the basement where they would like to tell us. But I think the Lions are not going to just go quietly into the night. The Lions are not just going to let the other division rivals try and take back their spots. The Lions are here to stay. The Lions are saying, yeah, this is our division now. We are going to make it very difficult for you guys to try and have any success. But anyway, folks, I just figured I'd put this video together. Something really quick, something really fun to talk about, especially considering the fact the NFC North is a very interesting division in its own right, and with all the moves that have been going on so far in the offseason for all the other teams in comparison to the Lions. But I figured to put it together, talk about it really quick, and having said that, I just want to say thank you all for watching another episode of MCM Motor City Mania. If you like what you saw, by all means, highly encourage all to watch the next episode. Also encourage all to do one of these 3 things: like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. If by chance you subscribed in the past and forgot to do so at the time, or you just subscribed and not had a chance to do so, again, please subscribe. It really helps me out, and I'm thankful for each subscription I can get. But also, after you subscribe, make sure you also turn on that bell notification icon at the bottom of the page as well, so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Again, subscription numbers, they're always going up, but we want to make sure you guys turn on that notification icon so that way you never miss any more content that I push out. Also encourage y'all, please, share this content with your Lions friends and family members. Share here on YouTube, share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it anywhere and everywhere you can with everybody and anybody that you can. The more we share it, the greater the channel spreads, the greater the channel grows. And I'm thankful for every share as well as every subscription I can get. With that having been said, hope you all are having a great day. Hope you all have something that makes you happy. Hope you all have something that makes you smile. And I just want to say to everybody, God bless. And until the next time we meet, I'll see y'all in the next episode.